Hey people, hope you caught that hyperspace jump. Welcome back.
Zoom. That's all I got. Zoom.
This is part 2 of our Thor Ragnarok review, taking all those Christmas presents and jelly beans and all that other stuff, just spoiling it.
Odin's dead.
That sets the pace. In case you were wondering.
So, there's no turning around now.
No, there isn't.
The rest of it, Odin's dead.
Full speed.
And apparently he's made of sparkles.
Right. If you wondered if gods from Asgard were composed of sugar and spice, maybe everything nice, you get your wish.
They are. They turn into sparkles and float away in the air. Yeah, spoiler review and discussion of Thor Ragnarok. Let's get on that for a second. Look, this bugged me about this movie. We talked about it a little bit in that spoiler. The inconsistencies. Now, I understand we're talking about God level stuff here, but I thought that there was a basic understanding of how Asgardians seem like gods because they're from a different planet. They look like people for the most part, but they're so much stronger and have so much more endurance, and that's why they were seen as gods thousands of years ago.
Right.
At no point, not to mention in this movie, you see a lot of Asgardians die.
Oh, yeah.
But only one turns into sparkles and floats away in the air.
Right.
Why? I know there's the Odin, I think it's the Odin light, or the Odin power, or something like that from the comics. But I don't remember it having anything to do with you evaporating and floating away in the air. Which, by the way, wouldn't that suck if you breathed some of that in?
Oh, man. Get a whiff of that.
There's Loki and Thor sitting right next to it with his immediately evaporated and decomposed body of Odin, which turns into bright, sparkly things and floats away. And wouldn't that suck if you, like, at that moment you took in a deep breath and just inhaled some of that? Or would that make you more powerful?
See, that's where I was going with that. Like, that doesn't have to
Then
be a bad thing.
Really gross about eating the dead and becoming more powerful, and then you have to see a psychiatrist.
And we were talking about mystical cannibalism, so that's another topic.
I fully expected him to die in this movie, but
same.
Right away in Norway, no less.
Yeah.
That was really weird.
There's some weird, almost poetic license justices taken within that. I think ever since his disappearance, I'm with you. I don't think there was ever much of a notion that he was going to return to the throne permanently and take a main role all the way, throughout the rest of his time. It just
and why is he dying?
Well,
I don't really remember much of reason. I'm old. Was that basically it?
Well, partially. I mean, this goes back a bit. This actually suits. I'm glad I saw Thor 1. Actually, right before I went to see this, it was just on TV at random.
Oh, yeah?
I think after I came home, I took a look at it, and Odin knew for some time that he just from his age, like, he would not be able to command the throne forever, and that he was going to need a successor at some point. So this was something that he sort of forecasted. If you remember, also in Thor 1, he went into that hypersleep for a while. Because every X amount of time to sustain himself, he goes into that almost comatose-like state before he can kind of, like, come back revitalized, like, with the rest of his powers. So him having to do that, like, really hinted that he's been waning, like, for a long time, and he hasn't had, like, as strong a grip as he did in the past.
All right, fair enough. Okay. No, there it is. But I'm going to keep bitching.
Hit it.
The Warriors 3 chumped.
I know.
Good God. Well, let me rephrase. 2 of them chumped.
Yeah.
One of them actually put up a little bit of a fight, but
yeah.
And Sif was nowhere to be found. I think the last time we saw Sif was actually in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She had an appearance after Thor 2 came out.
Right.
Come on. Give him more than that, especially the first 2.
Yeah,
give him more than that.
It's just that seeing how pivotal they were in the especially the original Thor movies. I mean, these aren't chump change mall cops. These these are the fellas, the guys and gals that hung right alongside Thor in some of his biggest battles, even the stuff that we didn't get to see in the rest of the Marvel films. I think to see them go out so quick. I mean, okay, by Hela, given who has extreme
right, but she had longer fights with regular Asgardian
That's
guards.
True. I mean, no, it's true. I think to get chumped out like that, even the whole support character additional endurance. Taking you take the knife through the chest, but with your gasping breath, use your momentum to at least make another attack. It was just a surprise. It was just they were offed really fast. So, man. But
yeah. So I'm looking at the cast here.
Kate Blanchett was awesome.
Yeah, Holgun is the one that she has, the guy with the spiky mace thing.
Yep.
That was fun. See now, and I think a fight with all three of them like that would have had a better payoff.
Yeah.
Because Kate Blanchett does not. She does not take a step back when it comes to the fight scenes and stuff. And I don't know how much that's her, how much is the stunt person, but I mean, Hela gets into it. Hela fights.
Yeah, she does.
She fights a lot, and that I think that would have been a really cool scene to see her take on the Warriors 3 in a different capacity.
One way to build up the threat level, I think, of any type of villain or anything new you're encountering is always to give a comparison point to something established. And I think there's a sort of chance lost there. We sort of have some grounds established already with the Warriors 3, sort of where they stand, and having that instant comparison. All right, how skilled they are. This is how they fared. Even however brief that was, that gives that slow build, sort of giving more credibility even to how relevant a new threat would be. I look at that. And honestly, Korg was the only one in that the scene out in the courtyard with the army, where Hela basically commands everyone to kneel, and Asgard chooses not to, and the whole army, and Korg goes against her. And yeah, I mean, he's downed early in that, but he's still not offed instantly. I guess just the fact that he even had a little bit more of a screen time with that was a little surprising, but. Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? Plus, we didn't really have, I guess, a scale at how fast Hela was ratcheting up power once she reached Asgard. I mean, that's the thing Odin talks about that to Loki and Thor right before he leaves. Is when I die, my life was the only thing putting the seal on her. Once she returns and she makes it to Asgard, she's going to be almost unstoppable. But there's some flex room about how much power she was gaining where she stood. And that's not an easy thing to do.
No, they don't pinpoint that either. It's kind of weird because the impression I got was that he has sealed her away somewhere and she has now gotten free, and he's been the only thing that's been holding her back. Is that how it's supposed to go?
Yeah.
But then he dies, and then which was okay that immediately after she shows up and says, "Oh, did he already die?" It's like,
yeah.
How do you not know that? Because you're here.
It should be pretty much complimentary at that point. But
it's kind of weird. It's like, and if you think about it, it's actually kind of a big plot hole.
Yeah. As far as the interesting thing about all this, especially Odin's death so early on, shows the repercussions in some of the previous films and of Loki's actions. Everything he's done to first to strike back at Asgard, to strike back at what Odin did to him. Then he sort of curtails that more in trying to build his own legacy, to build his own vision of what things are. He's immediately dealing with the consequences of that early on. That's with, I don't know if there's an assumption that if he just puts Odin under that spell, he had to have known he'd break out eventually. Maybe it wasn't his intention to, murder him off the bat, but I mean, he had to know where that was going to ultimately lead. Even if it's just to take some time in the sun and just enjoy the throne for himself. Because he really, obviously didn't have a bead on Surtur or, the rest of the events coming up. He was just really enjoying being in Odin's place. Having the throne, taking that from Thor for once and having everything out of the picture really gave him room to do that, but it was short-lived, so...
well, I don't know if short-lived. It lasted a couple years.
True. In God time.
No, in Marvel time.
Well, I agree. In Marvel
since Thor 2, which I believe was before. What?
No, you're right. No, you're right on timescale. You're dead on. 2 years. I just mean like, if you were an Asgardian living there, like that time is relatively short-lived. In Marvel time, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but that's what's here's what I've realized with Thor 3, which is fine. This is fine. The whole Thor Asgard thing is a big mess.
Yeah.
It's a big mess.
Yeah.
This is like, for example, when Loki and Thor are fighting Hela, and she pushes them both out of the the Bifrost, right?
They're in the warp gate, yeah, the Bifrost.
Warp gate, yeah, for Bifrost, yeah, the Bifrost thingamabobber rainbow bridge, fucking thing. And Loki's been there for a few weeks, and then Thor, when he got kicked out, was immediate.
Yeah,
and then he sees Loki's. I've been here for weeks now. Why? I get because space travel. What? But at the same time, because I guess time goes by differently on that planet than in other areas. But it seems like time is, when they're on what's the name of that planet again?
Oh golly,
yeah,
I call it Scrapland.
Scrapland. Well, everyone knows what you mean. So when they're there. But then when they're all there, time seems to be going by at the same amount of time on there in Asgard.
Exactly. So and see, this is kind of weird because Grandmaster himself, he comments on that about just like the passage of time. It's that very conversation Loki mentions, I've been here a couple weeks. And then he mentions, well, I'd probably be really old elsewhere, but here, obviously not so. When Loki first made that comment, the first thing I thought was, okay, maybe it has something to do with like which wormhole they entered when they actually got there, or like how maybe that just threw off a distortion. But then there was that comment, like, no, existing here sort of changes there's just a different flow of time here. Kind of weird,
right? Now, so something else, a big complaint of mine. So, how many people lived on Asgard? Because I know a bunch of them died,
right?
So I'll even give them 80% of the Asgard population is gone from her trying to take over, because you're talking almost all the military, which, by the way, I seem to remember them having more than 5 freaking spaceships.
Same.
But, okay, whatever. We're not watching everything. We're not getting the complete battle, so that's fine.
Right.
But, I mean, at the end, there's 200 Asgardians?
Yeah.
There's just a couple hundred?
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, she wasn't trying to destroy Asgard. She was trying to take it over.
Exactly. And, she just did so in, a ruthless way.
She just so happened to kill most of the people.
Yeah, no problem. If you murder your subjects, everything's quiet, right?
I mean, that was Solter's job.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce that? He was, Surtur.
Surtur, yep.
Surtur. I got it right here.
But
that was Surtur's job. But, yeah, but there's only a couple hundred of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So you don't even have an army anymore. Well, of course, she had that undead army.
Right.
So I guess...
she did. And also, if they were off-screen kills and everything else, the one thing I thought about here, if we're talking about Norse mythology, was if you come into the halls of Asgard, that's one of the highest honors you could ask for as a warrior. For your great feats and heroic deeds, to walk Valhalla is your reward at the end of life. Now, here's my question, and I could be off on this. We see the whole realm of Asgard, but then I think of when Thor took that moment to, after Odin had died, he was in the gladiatorial arena, and he took that moment to pray and talking about how his father's walking in the halls of Valhalla. Was Valhalla limited to Asgard, or is Valhalla's source still referred to as their beyond? I was trying to catch that.
Yeah, I don't know, because at the same time, Hel is from hell.
Yeah.
And so she was in the, I don't know. It's all very confusing. And quite frankly, I'm giving this more thought than I ever did before.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the point, I think.
Exactly.
And kind of, they're like, hey, look, we're just having some fun. But I think ultimately this is why the Thor movies didn't work.
Yeah.
And why I think this one does, because this movie exposes these flaws, because it's not about this. It's about other stuff.
Right.
Now, so let's get to the stuff that is awesome. Hulk and Thor that's the best.
Yeah,
that's the best, and it's kind of a shame that I don't know, maybe we'll get another one. I would like to see them just hang out again.
Same.
Just do some stuff. Hey, send them on some other planets to destroy. Let's just do that for a movie. Thor and Hulk destroy everything.
You could really run with that. The thing I liked here was seeing Banner being Hulk for 2 years. What's his state of mind at that point? Where does he sit with Hulk? And, the initial thing I thought was, okay, is there sort of a truce, a peace, so to speak, that he's allowing this? He's glad, and exactly, there's not
at all.
At all. There have been comic arcs that directly purported to that he sort of just came to a understanding, like a peace with what he was, and left it like that. He was fine with it. But no, I mean, Hulk clearly acts as the jailer here. He relishes the time in the spotlight he has. Finally, a place that is about purely what he is. He's able to completely express everything he is destructively, and he's awarded for it. Yeah. And it's a paradise for him. So of course, Thor comes offering and saying, "Hey, I got all these problems in Asgard. I'm going to need your help." Naturally, he's going to reject that, and he does, saying, "This is basically home for me. This is great. There's no reason I'd have to leave. Why do I want to go help you?"
He's an emotionally aggressive little man-child. Because then it gets to the point where, hey, wait, I like having a friend around.
Exactly. Oh, wait, you stay here. I'm just going to ruin your ship so you can't leave. Oh, man.
The Hulk was great. And obviously Mark Ruffalo's not doing all the physical stuff for that. He's still doing the voice, which is what they base a lot of that off of. That's where they go with a lot of it. He's doing the voice acting for it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's fun. He's definitely the Hulk at this point. What was that actor's name who played him originally?
It was Ed Norton.
Ed Norton was great as well, but Mark Ruffalo has definitely cemented himself as Bruce Banner / Hulk now. But their fight in the arena was great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's just fun for the way they do the Hulk. And just how he just comes in and just like, hey, hope you didn't care about any of this because it's all going to get destroyed.
Yep. Man, speaking of that, the arena battle points to something important. And going back to one of our earlier points, too, about power scaling. This is really the movie where we see Thor really break out into his potential, what he is. It's most of the comic interpretations, especially the early comics with Thor, have him very, very closely tied to his hammer. Rightfully so, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that the way it's painted here is said by Odin himself from the Beyond is the hammer. The hammer essentially was just a conduit to really train him how to channel his power, how to channel his energies. Him losing his hammer to Hela, which is an awesome big shock moment of the trailers we've seen leading up to this, was part of what led into the hype for this movie for me. Really was one of the best things that could have happened to him ultimately. Seeing Thor not just step into his power fully, but learn to trust that and recognize that, that hammer isn't me. I'm still me. I'm the god of thunder, period. And there is no expense spared on that with this movie. I loved seeing Thor being able to fully cut loose. We get to see him in the arena battle against Hulk. We see this again towards the end of the movie against Hela. Once he fully embraces it and it doesn't just become like a rage trigger he taps into. Really cool. And really interested to see how he's going to use that in the future for Last Avengers and all that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they do a really good job of displaying the separation anxiety that he initially has from what happened.
Right.
And him getting past it. There's definitely a bit of, there's a bit of growth for that, for the character. I'm good with how they did that. I don't really have much to comment on it. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Hey, here's You never needed that. It was within you all along.
Where have we heard that before?
Although, I mean, he obviously can't fly anymore.
Right. I wonder.
No, he is not Wonder Woman, who shouldn't be able to fly anyways.
Hey, he's got something better than flight. Did you see the second time he fully tapped into that? How fast he took off from the balcony of that palace and essentially rode lightning onto the bridge? That's metal, man. I mean, heck, you can make the argument that he, really didn't have true quote-unquote flight before. I mean, he pointed the direction, of his hammer. He had some control over that, but, he ride that. So instead of riding...
He needs the hammer to fly. He needs it to fly. Don't even go there.
Lightning rider.
I have not seen any Asgardians just be able to fly. All right, this is not cheapo DC Wonder Woman where hey I'm perfect and can do everything because I'm a metahuman.
It's even better. He's lightning riding. Okay, I'll stop.
I will say what was shocking though, if we're talking about what they did to Thor, he lost an eye.
Yeah.
That was unexpected. Gone. I was like, whoa!
Kind of a big deal.
Yeah, very much a big deal. I figured if they would have done anything, they would have chopped off an arm.
Yeah.
To get him kind of in line with where Odin's son is in the comics.
Right.
Especially, now that the hammer's gone. Which is kind of funny because in the comics, at some point Thor loses the arm. They showed that years ago, and he loses an eye. Whereas in the comics, he has since lost the arm, but he still has both of his eyes.
Right.
It's like Hell is like, hey, you don't need that. Let's just take that and there you go.
Let's get that out of here.
Very surprising. Probably the only bad CG of the whole movie. It almost was like, let's just put a black thing there where the eye was. They get away with it through most of the movie because of the lighting of where they're at, of the scene.
Right.
But yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, these people can like pick up huge rocks and cars and like airplanes and tanks and throw them at each other, and she just raped an eye right out. It's like, hey, to even do damage to Thor is kind of a big deal.
It is. Just comparing again, just the whole havoc from that arena scene. Just again, painting the amount of power this guy has, and for someone to do that in a blink, I mean, yeah, crazy.
So but again, I think that's it's very similar to the hammer. Obviously, in this case, though, this is like, hey, kind of like his dad. He's the trials and doing what he's doing is causing him to have these wounds,
right?
To have to not just lunge forward, but to think,
right,
and to focus on other ways of winning battles. Especially because he's going to have depth perception problems for the rest of his life now, which is a long time because he's a god.
Yeah.
Or is he a god?
He is. I'd say
is he sparkle worthy? If Thor died, would he turn into sparkles?
I think he deserves sparkles.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know if Marvel does, but hey, I'll say this.
I don't think any of them did.
Speaking of winning battles, real quick, we mentioned in our other segment about how much lore we're missing about Ragnarok itself, sort of shortchanging Surtur and everything else. Looking at the Valkyries real quick. Thor is pretty enthusiastic to run into a Valkyrie. Hey, holy crap, you're a Valkyrie. I read about you guys all the time. You lived in Asgard for so long, yet obviously you never spent a whole lot of time around them. And they were an elite fighting force, sort of detached from everything else. It just found it interesting. Unless I'm missing something here, that's 2 Thor movies, even before, without really any heavy mention of Valkyries or appearances by Valkyries. And things like that. I mean, we get filled in quickly about what happened to them. I mean, they were all Hella'd, basically, except this lone surviving Valkyrie who ends up forming part of the team that ultimately goes back to Asgard to reclaim things. But that was kind of neat aspect. It really just kind of made me think, wow, would they have done themselves a favor having them mentioned in the older Thor movies, or if it's probably just best that they weren't?
Well, if they had been mentioned in the previous movies,
yeah,
I think it would have been better off. But I don't think they ever planned on using them.
No,
Yeah, Tessa Thompson does an awesome job as Valkyrie, who
Yep.
is, that's her name, I guess, or is it Scrapper 142?
Scraper.
But those are the only names they give her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but even though she was part of the Valkyries, that's her name, Valkyrie. There really is. I mean, look, I don't think we're supposed to dig into this movie the way we are because we're noticing a lot of problems. There's a lot of issues with this, more than most other Marvel movies. This one's really got some issues, but so Valkyrie was great. Tessa Thompson's awesome. They were playing outside of the movie, which is it's not mentioned in the movie at all that she's the first MCU bisexual character, which plays no role at all. So why they're even talking about this outside of the movie, since it has nothing to do with anything that happens in the movie, I don't know. Sure, she was fine. And they completely butchered the lore of the Valkyries, from the comics anyways. Kind of funny, Scrapper 142 was her name. Valkyrie first showed up in issue 142 of Thor, so probably where that name came from. But that's as close as that character comes to the comic.
There you have it.
So, but yeah, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be negative. I was mainly negative in the non-spoiler.
No.
I'm trying not to be. This really was a patchwork, though.
Yeah. Thematically wise, and I think we talk about that just to kind of explore it a bit, where that clashes. Because look, a lot of these questions are being asked now because we're looking at the Twilight going into Avengers 3, and actually you want to know what types of worlds are still working in the background, what factors are there. What are sort of all the cards we're dealing with, on the table? Really getting hands-on and establishing what we're looking at, approaching these last few films. And an event this big, with Asgard itself being destroyed, Asgard effectively being a battle cruiser adrift in space right now. That's a big deal.
Which I don't even think it is. I don't think it is anymore. I mean, so we'll get into it. You get into that first after credit scene. That's Thanos' ship.
Right. Yeah, and
so
I was just gonna say that's the other thing we're pointing at. There's this whole idea that, as Odin says, Asgard is where its people are. So effectively they're really living life out on this ship until they reach Earth. But I wholeheartedly agree. The first thing that you see in the after credit scene when that massive ship appears, got to be Thanos, and it
is Thanos. That's Thanos' ship. That's Sanctuary 2. So now Asgard's a bunch of either dead people or slaves.
So, and that's going to give us...
There you go, Thor.
Good job! And that's going to give us a really good setup for where we're going to sit in the next movie. Now, here's the question about them finding that ship. And if I recall, was that right that one of the Infinity Stones was being stored there at the in Asgard?
I think so. How's that work?
Because
the Cosmic Cube.
The Cosmic Cube. Yes.
There's a couple. Then you had Loki's staff, which was the mind of the Soul Gem, which is in Vision
right
now. And then I think some people have said that what's his name? The gatekeeper guy.
Heimdall.
Heimdall. Some people think that he has a stone. I don't think so. But
Same.
But the Cosmic Cube's one of them, I believe.
Yeah, and I know Loki scooped that on his way out of Asgard. I think what would tell me what other reasonable, I guess, way would they have to really stop them or to go
otherwise
find...
you're going to go have to say hi to Surtur again.
Exactly. You finding that specific...
Or does that even bother Thanos to say hi to Surtur?
Probably not.
Surtur's the one, or Thanos is the one who's going to be getting them all.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. So basically, if you've seen it, if you've read it, and we're in spoiler territory here, the Avengers 3 trailer that came out during the summer showed you at the beginning the cast from the Guardians of the Galaxy flying around, and Thor runs into the window of their ship.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, obviously something's happened here. Here's the thing, though. Here's what bugs me about that. If they run into Sanctuary 2, Hulk is on that ship.
Yeah.
How is that just a thing where Thor is just floating around in space? And it's just like I don't know. I find it. Yeah. Maybe that's how they handled that, but it's like, oh, okay. So do not tell me that the Thanos Hulk fight happened off screen.
Please don't.
Yeah,
please don't.
Me. We'll see. We'll see. And I give Marvel more credit than most companies as far as how they handle these things. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But that just occurred to me as we're talking about this thing. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, so Sanctuary 2 runs into that ship, but Hulk is on that damn ship.
Yeah.
And so not to mention Thor is on that damn ship. So, yeah, how do they handle that? How does this go down?
Well, and also,
I don't think you're going to see any of it in Black Panther. So.
I don't think so. And when we're, I'm kind of concerned there is when we're talking about Hulk as well. This is one of the first times in the Avengers run we did during Hulk's individual movie, like a showdown against Abomination.
Yeah,
but in the first time in a long time, we've seen something actually puncture Hulk. Bear in mind, now his battle against Fenrir was awesome, the huge wolf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the fact that he was actually able to not just bite him, but also actually make him bleed.
That little bit.
That's rare. That is super rare. So...
And it was cool that they made a notice of that, and then it's cool that they didn't bring it up again because very few people realize that Hulk's regeneration is actually better than Wolverine's.
Right.
So it's like it's cool to show that he actually did get punctured, but then make nothing more out of it.
Yeah.
That happened for a second, and then it's gone. So that's why he's actually why Banner's able to blow his brains out, and then Hulk comes back because he can regenerate like that. Which has come up. That came up in Avengers, right? That he tried killing himself.
Exactly.
And, then the Hulk spit out the bullet. So, I don't know. They better show me the Hulk Thanos fight. That's all I got to say about that. So interesting situation there. And then the second end credit scene, you have Grandmaster. Which by the way, I thought, and I was kind of hoping he would just do, because the dude is old as the universe,
right?
Him and the Collector both, and they're massively powerful, but we've yet to see any way in which they are powerful, at least in the MCU. I thought it would have been cool if he would have just like waved his hand and they all would have gone flying or turned to ash or something.
Right.
But instead he's like, we'll call it a tie. I'm like, that's very generous of you, sir. I was not expecting that.
I wasn't either. I was like, man, either is he going to end this just by blowing everybody away, or is someone going to try to, shoot a net at him?
So maybe they're just ageless, or they live forever, but they're not powerful in the MCU. I don't.
Oh well. But comes down to there's a lot of good here, especially the amazing action sequences and the rest we ran into. I think the two after credit scenes are important. Is this, if I'm tracking this right, this is the second Marvel movie where we've had a double after credit instead of a single, because the way Guardians of the Galaxy was structured,
Guardians of the Galaxy had like 10.
Yeah, it did. So this is showing you, and it's funny. I remember looking around the theater after the first one, like half of everyone left.
Why do people do that?
I don't know. And I want to sit back down. It's not over.
Here's the thing about that. There's two things you can do. You can assume that there's going to be an after credit scene, like there always is. The first one, there's always one after the credits.
Right.
Or you can do what I do when I go to the movies now. I'm not sure. As soon as the credits hit, I get on my phone and I Google it, after credit scene for whichever movie. Now, in which I've done that for a couple of them and have stayed because I checked and was like, oh, there is one. But there's always one at the end for the MCU movies.
It's like, so don't miss it. Wait. Just wait. I'll say this too real quick about characters. Can I just say how much I enjoyed our rock fella, that
Kong?
Kong. Yep.
That is the director playing him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Kong was awesome.
I enjoyed him a lot.
That guy was great. I hope we see him again. We're gonna see Loki again.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna. I'm really hoping he just turns the Thanos aside. It's like, come on, do it.
Same.
You know you want to do it. You're Loki. You know you want to do it. You're going to be a bad guy. Loki still at this point is turning out to be the best villain in the MCU.
Yes, he is. It's great. Here's what I love about having Loki on screen. With any scene, you're expecting the inevitable betrayal at some point, or how he's going to do it, or how he's going to play his cards. But anytime you want to warm up to this guy, anytime, he'll give you a reason not to. And I love that about his character. He will do exactly what he must to survive whatever instance he's in, or whatever will put him in the best position. But beyond that, don't count on him to be goody two shoes.
So overall, I in the last one I rated it an 8. You gave it an 8.5. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. You cannot give this movie much thought, and you shouldn't.
That was our mistake.
If you do, you will do exactly what we did for the last 25 minutes or so.
Yep.
You will end up being like, wait a second. It's a lot of fun though. The interaction between Hulk and Thor is hilarious.
Yeah.
Every place where you expect this movie to shine does, except for Sparkling Odin. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting Odin to turn into confetti and blow away in the wind.
Congratulations.
That's not even as good as the Optimus Prime death from the Transformers movie. Yeah, that sucked. Wow. But sorry. Yeah, lots of fun. So final verdict, thumbs up. But this is as popcorn movie as you get, and I think this is the closest that Marvel has come to jumping the shark. They got to be careful.
It is. It's fun momentum to ride, not just off of their success, off of sort of like the feel of Guardians of the Galaxy and other things. That's all well and good. But keep reining that train in.
Yeah.
So
be careful here, and I'm worried because this is getting such a high rating that Marvel might start to think, well, this is the way we need to go. Be careful, because what part of what people love about your MCU is that it is grounded in some ways, but that you balance that as well as you do.
Right.
And if you stop doing that, you're gonna have an issue.
I'm with you. Right with you. Cool. Well, there you have it, folks. Marvel fan or non-Marvel fan, hey, great action film. Recommend you get out and go see this one. Definitely fun to check out. And, of course, building our larger narrative all the way up through the leading up towards Avengers. We got Black Panther coming up and much more. Our next review, likely... Do we have anything else before Star Wars? Major
what? Justice League and The Punisher?
Yes. Why did I forget Punisher?
Same weekend, even.
How can I forget Punisher? I'm just thinking movies.
He's going to come over and shoot you.
Well, no. Well, if we're following comics, he's going to come over here with the War Machine suit. But let's leave that alone.
Oh, that's coming out real soon. Every week I go in there, he's like, it's not out yet.
So, but yeah, we're going to be covering all that right here. So hey, stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. More reviews to come, and of course, tune in anytime to check out our main show over at Jagged Edge. That's going to do it for us for now, but thank you for listening, people, and we'll talk to you again soon.
See you later.
Hey, people, thank you for tuning into this episode and taking a listen. If you like our content, if you like what you're listening to, if there's anything to go over, hey, please, we would not only love to hear more from you, but if great, you could throw some support. You can subscribe right below. Also, you can toss us a line anytime. That's ksongmedia@gmail.com. Of course, you can tune in for our channel anytime for movie reviews, game reviews, a lot of random wacky stuff. Who knows what you'll hear. And of course, our episode each week where we're bringing the nerdiest things we can find, pick up, and maybe not find. Maybe the stuff that just drops in our laps. But anyway, hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you again later. Take care.